Even though I've had a lot of different changes in my career, I will say when I first started out in the entrepreneurial world, I really struggled. Again, despite all that great education, corporate experience, when I left the corporate world for the first time, literally I sat in a field outside Valley Forge Park outside Philadelphia, and I sat there with a lawn chair, and I got a notebook, and I started filling up note pages with just ideas that were flying around in my head. And for the first time in my life, I had no office, I had no boss, I had no coworkers, I had no clients, I had no business card, and so literally I had no structure around me. And so I found it, very difficult. I think it's difficult to go from having a lot of structure to having no structure. And so, and I think that's part of why I see the value of the growth cycle. I've created a methodology and a coaching approach because I'm trying to provide some self-directed structure to people that are today working in an economy where we are all, we all lack some of the structure today because things are changing so rapidly. One of my earliest visions was I wanted to start a school. It was going to be for inner city kids, and it was going to be in a rural setting. And I can remember, I had a fancy business plan and spreadsheets and PowerPoint charts as to, my vision of what this school was going to look like. And I finally found, a young person in the inner city, and I went to see him, and I gave him my presentation of what I thought was going to, be a good solution for him. And I discovered that the things I thought were important, he didn't think were that important. And so that was one of my first experiences where, I kind of moved through this learning process and got feedback that didn't fit some of the core beliefs and assumptions that were behind my vision. And I remember, it was, I was crushed actually, to get this feedback. So, at some point I began to perceive that I was moving through this sort of a learning cycle or creative process or innovation cycle. And that there were four distinctly different parts to this process. One was projecting a vision where I had an idea and I could, see the solution here that I thought that the marketplace, or in this case a student, would value. The next part of that is taking some action, getting your ideas out of your head, putting them on paper, somehow communicating your vision, and then taking action to basically test this vision. So there's definitely a execution of a plan sort of part of the process. Then there's the getting feedback from the person that you hope to be your client or your customer or your member or whoever you want to make a difference for. And so you get that feedback. So there's very much a taking in the world then and listening to to what's going on with them. And then they're sitting with that feedback and reflecting on what are the lessons here? What can we learn from this feedback? And in some cases, those lessons are that your underlying assumptions or beliefs here are not consistent with what your target market thinks is important. So in reflecting on lessons, sometimes you have to let go of these sometimes deeply held beliefs or assumptions and then refine or revise your vision.